just made me think of something, and it's a silly story, but I like to share silly stories, so here I go. I have a twin sister,
Uh-huh.
so we were 7. And so in my family of origin, the 5 of us, I had an older brother, mom and dad, me and my sister, we would sit down and have family dinner every night. That was the rule. And as a result of that, there's family conversation. Like that's one of the ways that my parents checked in on us kids, and we had that conversation. There's one night where there's a lively conversation going on at the table, and 7-year-old me was trying to say something and trying to say something, and somebody kept talking over the top of me, and nobody was listening. And I was trying to say something, and nobody was listening. So I stood up, I turned my chair around, and I looked at the wall, and I started talking to the wall. 100%. I guarantee you this truly happened. I started talking to the wall, and behind me, everybody got incredibly quiet. And I hear my mom say, "Becky, what are you doing?" And I said, "You people aren't listening to me, so I'm going to talk to the wall." And everybody laughed, obviously. And so then they're like, "Well, turn around and tell us what you want to say." So I turned around and said what I wanted to say. But I don't even know why I'm telling you that story. I guess it's fitting somehow. But yes, we spent time with each other and we talked about things.
Yeah.
And so, because I knew that what I had to say was important and
Yeah.
these people weren't listening to me, I was going to find a way to let them know that it was important.
I'll have to remember that next time I'm in a group. And because I can remember as the youngest in the family having that exact scenario play out
Mhm.
numerous times. It was
Yeah.
very common. And I wish I had thought about turning around and talking to the wall. That's a really good way to get their attention. I like that, Becky.
Uh, I've been unique my whole life, I have to say.
Hey, it worked.
It works.
Yeah.
But you know what? Here's the other thing. It's a funny story, I think, but I was safe in my family of origin. And so I could be that way. I could make an example and act like that, and it was okay. And then it showed me that I got what I wanted to.
I can so see you doing that.
I can still see me doing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Yep, I
That's
remember
good.
that like it was yesterday. But,
I bet you
even then,
do.
I say that. So I'm 7. So in my family, like that's how I was, just outspoken or whatever else. But I was also the same kid that when my mom and dad would go to parent teacher conferences, the teacher would say how quiet I was and I never talked or anything like that. And so they would always say, "You should come home with us," because it's a completely different person. But
Yeah.
again, there's that, where's my comfort zone? Where do I feel like I'm confident to have my voice, and where am I not confident to have my voice? And so how do I build in that setting, as that small child, how do I build confidence in that setting to have a voice? And that's the challenge. And we've talked before, in my family of origin, we moved all of the time.
Yep.
And so, going into that school setting, there was always a lack of confidence. Even in my teenage years, there was a bigger lack of confidence in my teenage years than there were even in my younger years, that people cared what I had to say or what I thought.
Mhm. I was just
I
going
had to
to,
fight that. I had to fight my message to myself that they don't care. I had to fight that and figure out a way to get past it.
I bet you did. Because that was the one thing I was just thinking of when you were talking before you brought up the fact of school, because we both know from having told our stories that we both moved a lot,
Mhm.
and I just think if you and I had been able to grow up in a single school system from, wouldn't have had to have been, first grade, but maybe third grade all the way through high school, graduating or whatever. Um, I think that it would have made a difference in us. What do you say to that?
I agree, because I was thinking, it's interesting because this past weekend, the last 2 days ago, Saturday, Sunday, was the homecoming for the college that I graduated from. And so my roommate from college came to visit me and we went to homecoming. And so we had the opportunity to get together with a couple other friends and tell the same stories that we always tell, and rehash all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, one night at the conclusion of our conversation, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, this is where I really became me. because when I went to college, I knew that I was going to be here this whole time. Like I wasn't going to move. Here was my foundation. And so I had the opportunity to try all of it and get involved in all of it. And I found out that's where I really found my voice. I found out who I was. I found my confidence. I found out that people think I'm funny. I find out that I can listen really well. I found out all of those things. And that's where I really got my start from. And so I agree, yes. And if I had started at a young age in an environment where I thought was going to be that foundation and that consistency, sure, it would have made a world of difference, I think. I still probably would be an introvert. I don't know if that would go away, but I'd have been a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. And I wonder maybe if your peers might have said, you're an introvert by the time you'd graduated high school.
Mm-hmm. Because my peers in college never thought that I was.
See, that's what I thought.
My peers in my work environment don't think that I am either.
And that's interesting you'd say that, because I work with a gal that graduated with me, or I graduated with her, however you want to look at it. And when we finally saw each other for the first time at work, she was talking to this other lady at the table, and she said, she never talked. And she said, no, 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 I'm not kidding. She never talked in school. She was talking about me. And I can go on and just, forever and never shut up. So to hear that was her perception of me really surprised me. But I really had a hard time in that high school too. I went there 3 years and just never really felt like I fit in, because they literally were that small community that, probably 90% of the kids, if not more, had gone from grade school all the way through to their senior year together. They knew each other. They really, really knew each other. And they had that established foundation. And you said one time in an episode that teenagers are not very good about, I think you said something like reaching out or, befriending others, or I don't remember exactly how you worded it. And that really helped me understand that it was not that those people were being horrible.
Yeah. Sorry, you froze up for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, where'd she go?
No, I was just saying that that really helped what you had to say, because then I realized, okay, then those fellow students of mine were not horrible people. They were typical teenagers thinking only of themselves.
Yeah. That's very true too.
What's that?
I said that's very true. I mean, teenagers pretty much really do only think of themselves. So
they're kind of like little narcissists running around.
Yes, absolutely. But here's the thing, even in that, like I was just thinking, even talking about just a little bit of like my personal story there a little bit, that's how you find a voice. Like I had to figure it out. Like I had to figure out, how do I navigate through these things? And then I find a safe space and I try it. And so for me, my safe space was outside of my family. Inside of my family, that doesn't even count, because I always felt like I had a voice and I had a right to an opinion and everything else. But as far as the world outside, it was truly in my college years that I really tested it. Who am I? What do I think about that? Do I have an opinion that's different than yours? I do. Can I say it? Oh, I can. And especially with the degree, the field that I was in, not necessarily the psychology degree, but with my philosophy religion degree, that's a debatable topic all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so I really was able to find a voice on that. And I don't necessarily agree with what you just said to me, even to an instructor. And I found out it was okay.
Wow.
So I do have the right to disagree. And you're respectfully telling me you don't agree with me, and so I'll be respectful back. But that was a really good testing zone for me to find my voice.
Oh, I can see that.
And so that's what we all need. And coming out of an abusive relationship, where's the safest space? And so again, not to be redundant, but doing so anyway, in our shelter is a safe space. And so we do have people that are doing exactly what I just said, trying to find the voice and arguing about that or disagreeing with that or pushing that. Now we just have to figure out what's the difference between aggression and assertion. You can always assert yourself, but you can never be aggressive. And so we have to work on that.
Can you take a minute and kind of dive into that?
Sure. Like in what way?
So let's say I'm at the shelter and I'm trying to figure out how to have a voice. And so I end up being aggressive with the person in group. Um, how would you handle that?
Sure. Well, let's use an example. Say I'm in group and I have something to say, and there's a person in group who I feel like is monopolizing the conversation. If I stand up and say, would you shut up because I've been trying to talk all night and you're not giving me a chance? That's aggression. And that person's going to feel attacked.
Yeah.
Or if at some point even I politely say, oh, I have something to say. So I raise my hand and make it abundantly clear. And then I say it. I've asserted myself into the conversation by doing this. It's just
Yeah.
an example. By doing this,
Yeah.
which means everybody looks at me. And so then I'm hoping when I do this, that the group facilitator will say, oh, I'm sorry, Becky, did you have something to say? And then I can say it. And then I don't have to be aggressive. But if I stand up and I say, would you give me a chance to talk? Guess what's going to happen? The facilitator is going to say, you can sit down and wait your turn politely.
Right.
Now we've learned the lesson. What's the right way to get involved? What's the wrong way?
Yeah.
Or if a resident in shelter, say comes in and asks for a trash bag because we give trash bags to the people staying in our cottages, and they walk in and the advocate they need to talk to is on the phone. And so say they come in and they say, you need to stop. I need a trash bag. Or maybe not even you need to stop. Maybe they just come in and say, I need a trash bag. That's kind of aggressive. What they're going to learn is the advocate on the phone is going to be like, you're going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Or, and then when they get off the phone, say, did you not see me on the phone? I was trying to have a conversation. Well, you need to help me. Now we would say, well, there's a right way to help, ask for help, and a wrong way. And the right way is you be respectful of me and I'll be respectful of you. So when you see this phone attached to my ear, if you wait till I put it down and then ask for help, I'll be happy to help you. It's safe to say I need a trash bag. What's the right way to do it? I mean, those are not deep examples by any means, but it's just those little things that happen. Or we'll have people that come in and they're upset because maybe they were trying to get a housing on the housing voucher and it fell through, and they will want to come in and be mad at us and say, you need to do something to help me. You haven't helped me one bit since you've been here. They're not mad at us. So then what we would do is we would redirect to them and say, hey, let's have a conversation about this. You're being aggressive to me. I can't work with you like that. Let's talk about it. And so then we would talk about the difference between let's get your needs met, but let's do it in the right way. So then, healthy communication is you show respect to me, I show respect to you. You absolutely have the right to have a voice. You absolutely deserve to be heard, but it can't always be on your terms all of the time. And forcing it to be on your terms all of the time, we call that aggression.
That's good. So now I understand why you're so good at that, because you had that all those years growing up around the table at home. And so you saw that modeled. So that part does come naturally to you.
It does, yes.
And so that's why you don't get all up in arms and upset if somebody does come across aggressively. Whereas if I have somebody who comes across aggressively, I shut down, or I get angry in return, and then that just builds and builds and builds, and then that can destroy a friendship.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I understand that, because I have always been, that's been a mystery to me. I've heard you explain different scenarios of people being aggressive with you or with your staff, and you handled it so, I don't know, so in such a mature way. I never saw that handled in any kind of a mature way. So that's why that comes across so clearly to me.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of years of experience of working with people and seeing what works and doesn't work too. And so, there have been instances where in my early days, I may not have handled it as well as I would handle it now.
Right.
But just, the bottom line, like in that scenario, and this is the one thing I would teach all of the advocates working for me, if someone comes in and they're being aggressive, it's really not towards you anyway. And so if you can remove yourself from that instantly and say to yourself, hey, Becky, this isn't about you. The natural question might even be, what's this about? Like, tell me what this is about.
Yeah.
And sometimes just even that statement alone can take someone who's charging in to almost breaking them to tears, because really what it's about is this letter I just received and I don't understand it. And why are they doing this to me? Well, let's look at that and we'll see what we can figure out here. And it's that whole I'm willing to partner with you attitude. And that really does, I truly believe that really does help at least the people staying in our shelter find a voice. Because it's okay for you to be upset, but let's handle it the right way.
And that just hearing that right there brings me to tears, because that is exactly what I saw modeled with you and with all of the advocates, is that I knew I could take something big or something very small or insignificant to somebody else, and it didn't matter how personal or impersonal it was. I could bring it to you or your staff, and any one of you would help walk me through that and help me pull me down out of the rafters for being upset, or just be able to simply talk openly, you know, and I would be accepted, whether I was crying or whether I was whatever kind of a situation I was in. And that is so true. That is huge. That is a huge part of, for me, it was a huge part of my healing, beginning of the healing. Yeah.
Because the reality is there's no such thing as a negative emotion. It's just how we
Good.
exercise it or what we do with it. And so, like you said, someone can come in angry. Their anger doesn't bother me at all. It's what you do with it. So
Yeah.
if you want to come in anger and you want to be aggressive, you're going to meet a different person. You
Yeah.
can't be that way to me. If you're angry and you want to come in and be angry, but you're willing to talk with me about it, then you're going to be met with that person who's willing to help you through that anger.
Yeah.
Anger is not good. Anger is not bad. Anger is just anger. Love is not good. Love is not bad. Love is just love. It's what we do with it that would then categorize it as a bad thing or a good thing. Case in point, an abuser says they love you when they hurt you. That's not good.
Right. Right.
But you can be angry, and again, you can be aggressive. That's not so good. You can be angry and assert, I need help. Okay, then we're going to do that.
Yeah.
I think a lot, we collectively, the collective we misdirect the intent behind people's emotions all of the time.
Yeah.
And so if we can have that quick chat with ourselves that says, oh, wait, this isn't about me.
Yeah.
So you get out of the way and now let's deal with it. That can make a huge difference for someone.
It really can. You're giving us some really good tools here. I'm talking about myself and the folks that are watching this, giving us some really good tools. I love the idea. My mind keeps going back to this, of how you tried different things in college and you found what fit you. It would be like, I'm a word picture person. It would be like not expecting to go into the shoe store and finding the first pair of shoes you try on be a perfect fit. You have to try several styles and brands and whatever on before you can find out what is really for you. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and I mean, my hope would be that we all have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
If in your family of origin you didn't find a safe space, when you get out of that family and you create your own family, that's a safe space. Or if that's not a safe space, your church environment is, or your work environment is, or your social network is, or whatever else. Because we should all have a place, and hopefully multiple places, where we can just be us. And it's okay for us to have a voice. It's okay for us to express ourselves. We should all have that. I think we deserve that.
Yeah.
From the moment we can speak until the moment that we can't. I think that we deserve that.
That's good.
And nobody has the right to take that away from me. I mean, an abuser will try day after day after day, multiple times day after day after day to take your voice away. But they don't have the right to do that.
That's good. No, they don't.
So it is a process. I mean, it's a learning curve like anything else would be. My analogy of the way that you build trust is like getting into a hot bathtub. There's a little bit of the way that you build that is a little bit like getting into a hot bathtub. You stick a toe in and wait till that toe gets comfortable, and you stick in the rest of the foot, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And then you continue to build just that confidence and that surety. We're all going to say stupid things. And that's the other part that I think is so important that we forget about too. It's okay to laugh at yourself. I just said a really stupid thing. That's funny. What I meant was,
Yeah.
it's okay.
I'm finding myself laughing more at myself than I ever used to. One of
Yeah.
the ladies that I meet with once a week, she and her mom just have been just a beautiful example of that. From the time I was a teenager and I met her, and then she invited me over and I got to meet her mom would laugh at herself, just at, and it was just, you could tell it was natural and it was something she did all the time. Well, my friend does too. She's
Yeah.
forever just laughing at herself. Now, I love that they don't laugh at other people. They only laugh at themselves. And like if my friend would do something funny and she would laugh at herself, her mom would laugh with her, but not at her. And there is a big difference there.
Big difference.
Mhm.
I said a funny blunder this morning that I thought was hysterical. I'll share it with you if you want.
Yes. I love your story.
I was talking to a friend that I'm going to connect with at a conference that I'm going to this week, and we were kind of just doing a quick catch up on the phone before the real catch up. And so she had commented on a picture that I had posted on Facebook of me and my dog. And then I said, well, did you see the one of me and my grandson? And she said, no. So while she was talking to me, we had been talking about dogs a little bit and her cat. So we were talking an animal conversation. And then we went from that. And so she looked at the picture of my grandson and she said, oh, he really looks right now a lot like her own grandson.
Oh, wow.
And I said, now that you say that, they do have similar markings. And we both just busted up. I was like, wait a minute. They're not, our grandsons are dogs.
I love that.
Let me rephrase that.
I'm sure your son would probably prefer that you rephrase that too.
I mean,
That's good.
But that's the thing is, even on that, you can't be afraid to laugh at yourself. It doesn't hurt. It's
No.
more fun to laugh at yourself when you say something silly. I'd rather just be pointed out. Yeah, I said that silly thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's funny too.
I am having fun with it. I really am. And I never saw that modeled until I met my friend and her mom. Never.
Yeah.
So I am having fun with it. Yeah.
That's a very good thing.
It is. It really is.
But even in that's a social network that you found that's a safe space for you to explore that.
Oh yeah. Very definitely. Yeah, she's been a very safe place. I guess I'd be giving away my age, wouldn't I, if I told how many years I've known her? We'll just say
unless you've known her since the day you were born, maybe not.
Well, when I was able to introduce her at one point to a group, and I said, "Yeah, I've known her for years." She started laughing, and I said, "It was wasn't it in the nursery we met, wasn't it?" Yeah, she said that was it.
That's a long time.
It really wasn't that long, but yeah, we were teenagers when we met. But it is fun to be able to glean those kind of things from other people. So do you think it's also a wise idea to say, get together with and try to develop friendships with people that you would like to be like, that you want to emulate, is also a good idea too.
Sure. And the thing is if I feel like I'm not 100% where I want to be, so I want to work on something on myself, and so I do, we tend to attract to us the person we're trying to project. Like we tend to attract that to ourselves. And so if I want to be a grumpy old man, so I start acting like a grumpy old man, then I'm going to attract other grumpy old men to myself. If I'm going to, if I want to be the book smart brainiac, and that's how I conduct myself, people like that are going to gravitate towards me. And so there is even a lot to be said for find someone who has the characteristics that you would like to emulate and get to know them better. How do they become that way? And then you'll find yourself kind of patterning your behaviors after that person too. So who we are attracts the kind of people to us that we want based on the way we project. But then we can also find somebody that projects what we want, and we need to go to know them so we can figure out how they got it.
Yeah. Wow, you're giving us such good information here. This is fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. It really is. If you had one person sitting in front of you right now and they were struggling, let's say they were struggling with this thing of having a voice and just really having an issue with it, can you think of one thing in particular you would tell them?
Mm-hmm. Two things, but the first thing that I think is I would say maybe it's a person who wants to express an opinion, but they're not sure it's okay to express that opinion. Here's what I would suggest. Write down exactly what you want to say.
Ooh.
Read it out loud and listen to yourself read it out loud. And if listening to yourself, when you read it out loud, you think to yourself, boy, that's really smart, then you should say it. That's a safe, super safe way to test out what to share. And I've done that in my life. I'll write it down and I'll read it and I'll be like, nope. Let's fix that. But then that other thing, I'm a really strong believer in positive messages. Tell yourself, I am a valuable person. My thoughts matter. What I have to say is valuable. People need to hear what I think. It's not fair for me to keep what I think inside. People need to hear it. And I would say, make that your mantra. Say it all the time. People need to hear what I think. Because what I think is really good. And if you don't think it is,
powerful.
Write it down, read it out loud. If it sounds good, guess what? It's good.
Wow. That is powerful. Do you know
That's just off the cuff.
What's that?
So I just made that up.
Well, it was good. Keep it. Use it again. Because wow. As somebody who has come from an abusive background of 48 years, that second part does not come easily.
Yes.
That is, you're just almost asking me to fly to the moon without a rocket, but that's good. It's good advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's necessary.
Yeah.
We had an off-camera conversation earlier where I was talking about, again, the conference that I'm going to and how I've been doing this for so long, nobody's going to be able to teach me anything. And then what did I say after that? However, there might be somebody new come in with a new idea that I need to hear. Mm-hmm. And that could change the way that I do this, or I could do that. Say it. Be willing to say it. And as a result of me saying that out loud, guess who's willing to listen? I am. Yeah. Because you might, even though I think I know everything, I don't. Right. And I need your fresh perspective, and I need your words of encouragement, or whatever they are. Yeah. We need to be willing to give people the benefit of the doubt that people have good things to say. It's good. Sometimes we're going to fall flat on our face. That's the other thing. If you can't handle that one of the options or one of the outcomes might be you fall flat on your face, you need to work on that, because you really might. Yeah. You might open up your mouth and stick your foot right in it. You really might. Sure. But if your resolve is strong of, I'm still going to try it anyway, and I might take 3 steps forward and 1 step back, so be it. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
because it's worth it for me to be the best me that I can be. It's worth it for me to participate in life.
Mm-hmm.
And, the way that we participate in life is through interactions.
Mm-hmm.
If we choose not to have those, we stop participating, and that's not healthy.
Very true. Can you expound on that? And I think some of us know from the COVID lockdowns and all that why it's not healthy to just withdraw and not socialize. But can you tell us why?
Being locked in your own head is a scary place. I mean, that's why. I mean, that may not explain a whole lot, but it's just that whole, I believe that we were created to be social beings.
Mm-hmm.
And when we isolate and withdraw ourselves, we're doing a disservice. We're damaging ourselves. We're damaging our emotional self. We're damaging that social aspect of our emotional self. We're limiting our ability to grow because we're shutting out everything outside of us that could encourage us to bloom and grow. Like it's depressing as all get out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the worst things is the level of depression that you can get to through that isolation and withdrawal is just really not healthy.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, people did in our country and in our world, people experienced that in the last couple of years, and I feel like it took a toll on a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
We need people.
Mm-hmm.
We were created to be social. Not only were we created to be social, but we need touch. Like we need human touch.
Yeah.
And those are the things that feed us. And so taking those away from us is horrible.
Mm-hmm. I remember one time when I went, excuse me, it's a long story and I will just Reader's Digest it. I had the opportunity, found a lady who did massage. And I was telling her some of my physical issues and whatever. And so we set up a time. I went and got a massage. She started at my shoulders, and the very instant that she touched me, I just began to cry. And the tears just kept coming. And she said, that's not uncommon when I go to give somebody a massage. But see, by this time, I had lived alone for, I don't know, 2 years, 5 years. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it had been a while that I had been single. And you don't get that physical touch. My kids weren't around. You don't get the physical touch. And but it took me by surprise. It really did. We do need that. And I thought of a Becky answer while you were talking too. Um, Not only are we, if we revert into ourselves and can go into this horrible cycle and become depressed and whatever, also those other people that we would have been or would be in contact with are missing out on what we have to offer, whether that's what we have to say or whether it's just being us, being ourselves. Other people are missing out on us.
Just reaching out and taking the time. I just had that happen right before we started recording tonight. Someone had sent me an email earlier today, and I had a quick opportunity to take a look at it, and I sent a quick response. And instantly got an email back from that person that said, oh, how timely your response was, because I just I was having a really dark place and I needed some encouragement. And that's the second that you sent me that email. And she said it made me cry. And I was like, wow, who'd have thought?
Right. Right.
And I mean, it wasn't even a deep exchange. It was just a little one, but we need that. We need people.
There was a song that when I was growing up, the Ray Hildebrand used to sing, and he's the one that sang, um, oh, now I lost it. Anyway, he had a song that he sang like in the late 50s, early 60s, whatever. But when I heard him in the 70s, he sang a song, we really do need each other. And he just kept repeating that throughout the chorus. I don't remember the rest of it, but that has stuck in my head all those years. We really do need each other. It's not something where we can truly survive on our own.
Yeah. And so that's my encouragement to people. If people are watching this video that we're doing right now and they're feeling some of the feelings that we're talking about, the first step is find someone, find a place.
Mhm.
And there are plenty of places. It's just a matter of you sometimes you have to be willing to take that first step. And so is it if you're in an abusive situation, you pick up the phone and you call a shelter and see if they have a support group, for example, or if you need legal assistance, you call or if you just really like to read and you don't know where to find books, you call call the library, whatever it is, just make that first step to reach out.
Mhm.
And once you find a couple of people, that becomes your network, and then you can find your voice in your network, and then that carries, and it can carry, and it can carry.
Yeah. I love the ripple effect.
Yeah.
I really do, because that can
So,
be
I mean, that's the main message that I would want our listeners to hear today is we all have a voice and our voice matters. What I think is important, what you think is important.
ooh, folks, I don't think we can hear it any better than that. Becky, thank you so much. This has been so good. Folks, thank you for joining us. And please leave comments. Feel free to leave a comment for Becky or for myself. She does such a great job with these episodes and with teaching us. She's got such a heart to do this, and I appreciate it. So remember, folks, that no matter where you are in the process, you are always free to soar.